What you just saw there was a custom World Islands map with Lugia recreated on an unmodified Pokémon Red and Blue original cartridge using arbitrary code execution. It was then transferred to my copy of Pokémon Crystal using a Game Boy link cable. In this video, I'd like to share with you how I created this custom event all on an original cartridge without ROM hacking. But first, I think it's important to set the scene a bit here and explain why I did this. If there's one thing I'd like people to know about me, is that I love Lugia. There's so much to be said about Lugia, from its origins as Pokémon X, to its surprise appearance in the release of Pokémon Gold and Silver, and even minor details like its subtle design changes throughout the series. I've always found its story and unusual reveal pretty fascinating. I have fond memories of seeing The Power of One in theaters as a kid, and being blown away by this brand new Pokémon and the presence it had on screen. Since then, I've really grown an attachment to the diving Pokémon. What's great about this legendary and its appearances in the main series games is being able to obtain it in almost every generation. From static encounters, event distributions, and augmented reality, Game Freak have always made sure that Lugia is somewhat accessible to players in some way, which has been great. But what about games that don't have a way to catch Lugia? What about the games that Lugia isn't even available in? There are actually very few cases where a Pokemon can be obtained in a generation it isn't available in, as it's not really something that Game Freak intended for. However, it is certainly still possible. So let's take a look. Each Pokemon in generations 1 and 2 have a numerical value ranging from 0 to 255 that is attached to the species they are categorized under. This is known as a byte. For example, a Bulbasaur in Pokémon Crystal is defined as 01 in Hex, and a Pikachu might be defined in the same game as 19. Notice I didn't say 25. That's actually Vulpix's species definition. Basically, Pokemon on the Game Boy only supported 255 species due to their implementation using a single byte. But what did Generation 1 do with the remaining entries? Well, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow actually have 190 species constants. Now obviously there are only 151 Kanto Pokemon, so when we look over the assembly by the geniuses over in the Pret Discord, we can see there are exactly 39 unused entries in the species list. Which is kind of unremarkable until you realize that Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal do use these filler slots. After all, there are 251 Pokemon in these games given the addition of the Johto Pokédex, the best Pokédex. The Generation 1 species constants are actually out of Pokédex order, whereas Generation 2 species constants are in Pokédex order. To ensure backwards compatibility, a remapped table needed to be created and referenced during a time capsule trade. In the Pokemon Crystal disassembly, we can see that this table actually fills Generation 1's unused slots with Johto Pokemon. Let's take a look at the first species constant in Generation 1 right under Tangela. In Generation 2's table, we can see that it's remapped to Scizor. I'm actually not quite sure if there's a rhyme or reason to how Generation 2 Pokemon are ordered in this table, so if you know, please share in the comments. Like I mentioned, this mapping is referenced during a time capsule trade. If you just happen to stumble upon a Pokemon in Generation 1 whose species index was 1F, when trading it through time to the Johto region, it would appear Scizor. Again, not sure exactly why, but I'm certainly not complaining. Let's scroll down to the best remapped species ever. Species B8. In Generation 1, this species is actually used during the Ghost Battle in the Pokemon Tower, but in Generation 2, drumroll, it's a Lugia. Much like the species 1F to Scizor remapping, if we somehow obtain a Pokemon with a species index of B8, then sure enough, we can transfer that over to Generation 2 and get a Lugia. Converting a Pokemon in Generation 1 to Generation 2 using the time capsule is actually not new and is something that many in the Pokemon community have accomplished already. With methods like the Mew Glitch and Fossil Revival, any of the previously mentioned species can be sent over via link cable and converted into a fully functional Johto Pokemon. A downside to these methods, in my opinion, is that they can seem a little glitchy. The big goal for this project wasn't to obtain Lugia in Generation 1, it was to obtain Lugia in a way that felt immersive, something that felt official. As official as you can get with arbitrary code execution anyway. That's where things started to get a little more involved. So now that we've covered how species indices work in Generations 1 and 2, let's take a look at how I chose to obtain Lugia outside of the common available methods. Thanks to the wonderful work of extremely skilled members in the Pokemon community, in-game tools for Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow have been developed that allow us to easily run code on official hardware. No external tools required. Two important tools we'll be using in this video are Teemo VM's Nickname Writer and RAM Editor. So sorry if that's not how you pronounce your name. I'll leave guides on how to use both of these tools in the description, as well as how to set this environment up yourself, but the important thing to remember is that the Nickname Writer allows you to input code in the form of Pokémon nicknames that is then executed, and the RAM Editor allows you to directly modify values in the game's memory. Let's start with the game's memory. When playing the game, there are values always loaded into WRAM that store which map you're in, your current party, where the location of your player character is, and so much more. Thanks to Teemo VM's RAM Editor, we can access any of these values and modify them how we see fit. If I wanted to change my lead Pokemon's level, I would find the address using the disassembly symbols file, then find it in-game using the RAM Editor, and modify it. Among these values are pointers to data within the game's ROM that are referenced when executing certain functions. As I mentioned, the index of the map that you're currently in is loaded in WRAM, along with pointers to all the data for which NPCs exist in the map. So when a game calls the functions to load the map, draw it, spawn NPCs, and so forth, it'll look to the pointers in WRAM to know which map to load. With our RAM Editor, we can find these pointers and actually rewrite them to point to anywhere in the game's memory. And I found this to be just the perfect opportunity to take up a few hundred bytes of box data in this game's save file and store an entire custom map in there. I'll break down the map design process in a second, but the important part to know here is we're overwriting the game's loaded map pointer to point to different chunks of game data in the game's memory. This means we can insert entire maps in the game on cartridge while it is running. And the best part about this is that Pokemon Red and Blue include these map pointers in the game's SRAM, so all of this custom map data will persist between soft resets. So, we've looked at how we can insert custom data into the game using the RAM Editor. Now, let's take a look at how the custom map and its events were designed. The tool I used to design the Whirl Islands map for this event is called Polished Map. It's primarily used for ROM hacking with the GBC disassemblies, but here I just needed the BLK file it outputs when saving a map. When opening a disassembly, you can create a map file by setting its size and tile set. I created an 8x8 closed cave that was meant to resemble the Whirl Island's inner room where Lugia resides. It's not much to look at, but it gets the job done. The border tile is set within WRAM and fills up the space outside the map that would normally be a black screen. Save the map and out comes a nicely packaged BLK file. When opening it in a hex editor, you can actually see each tile block represented by each byte. Kinda neat. Anyway, those bytes are what's needed to store in the save file. By finding some free space in WRAM, aka the box data, since the save will not be storing Pokemon, we can use the RAM Editor to manually edit the box data to include each block from the map I just created. Once that has been inserted into that free space, modify the map data pointer to point to this new custom map instead, and voila, a custom map. Sort of. There are quite a few functions and adjustments that will need to be made. You're going to want to redraw the map as well as potentially adjust the pointer at address D35F if your sprites are offset in any way. Not doing this could lead to going out of bounds, which can result in save corruption. Seems extreme, but that's just what they tell me. Now that the custom map is implemented, the next step is to populate it with NPCs. Lucky for me, I only needed one NPC, Lugia. Using the Pokemon Red and Blue disassembly, I was able to reference other event scripts in the game to write some code that recreates a static NPC who triggers a battle. I wanted to make sure that generating a shiny Lugia was possible, so I referenced the Snorlax event when writing mine, since Snorlax encounters have been confirmed as being possible to be shiny. To get this code onto my Pokemon Red cartridge, I had to assemble the project on my computer and input the data byte by byte using the in-game RAM Editor tool. It was honestly kind of a long process, but after days of trial and error, many crashes, and lots of pointer shifting, I finally had a working NPC on the map, and speaking to it triggered a battle with species B8. All in all, this took me about a week to put together initially, with quite a bit of time spent afterwards just debugging and polishing. Some other projects spawned from this endeavor, such as an in-game shiny indicator script, which I've released on GitHub, and custom sprite insertion. While both are involved in the hunt, I think technical breakdowns on them are a bit out of scope for this video, though I would certainly like to share more about them in the future. For now, I'd like to shift gears and focus on the hunt itself. It was honestly a pretty uneventful hunt. I failed shiny Lugia. For the most part, the hunt started normally. I I encountered a Lugia each reset and checked to see if it was shiny using my shiny indicator script that places an exclamation point near the HP bar when the Pokemon DVs match. It wasn't until one night when I was trying to find a stream to watch that just take a look. No! 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 I cannot believe I just did that. Oh my god. After coming to terms with the loss of a shiny Generation 1 Lugia, I realized I just needed to lock in and fly to San Antonio. A few months ago, I bought a spectator pass to my very first Pokemon Regionals and decided to bring my Analog Pocket and Pokemon Red with me. This extremely overpriced and underdeveloped Game Boy did not leave my hands once. I was glued to the screen trying to get as many resets as I could over the weekend. Unfortunately, Lugia did not shine during this trip. However, it was still a really special weekend that meant a lot to me. Getting to meet so many people and shiny hunt with other gamers was incredible and has me even more excited for NAIC in June. So Monday arrived, and I flew back home with not a single shiny Lugia in my Generation 1 video game. Now it was really time to log in. And I did just that. My mom's the fun case where she changed her name legally. So I was hoping you would know her former name. Oh my god, shiny Lugia! Oh my god! I had my fingers on the buttons to reset. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So glad the white 2 copy didn't shine. Oh my god. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can read that. It's Jordan going, Max, did you just get the shiny? Oh man. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna risk doing this multi-input thing, and I'm just going to Master Ball it. Which copy is this? Oh my god. So the thing about this is I'll have to run a script to change its type because for some reason the type is stored in the Pokemon's structure in Gen 1. Do I want to give a nickname? I really want to give a nickname, but I don't know if that's going to mess it up. I'm not going to take a chance. I'll rename it with a script after. Okay. Alright, so I've got my save over on the carts now. And as you can see, the script is still running. I've got missing no in the second slot with the exclamation point there indicating that it is shiny, my Lugia. I've got my crystal here with the link cable ready to go. We will just need to do a few things. I was a little nervous to nickname it, so I'd like to nickname it manually by editing the values a little bit. I'll show that in a second. And then, unfortunately, as you can see here, hopefully, I'll move this up a little bit. If it would focus, there we go. It is fire type, which it is So I'll have to update that. I've got I'm gonna call my friends right now who are muted. I'm showing this off to them, and it's all very exciting. I'm very excited. Okay, so let me get this code going. So this is 4F. Let me zoom in here. Whoa. Okay, so we've got 4F, and if I execute 2, that'll bring up the nickname writer, which I can use to write some characters. Let's see. Each character represents... got my phone buzzing right now, and I don't know if it's going to affect the recording, but each character represents code that will be executed when we hit start here. So let's see, I want to make sure I get this right. MEIRQY, lowercase w, capital W, VME, perfect. That's 58, correct. Press A for another one. And the unfortunate part about changing the type is that it won't reflect on the summary screen. If it doesn't work, Crystal will just say that there's a problem with the Pokemon and it'll need to be, updated again. So let's see, C, D, uppercase D, and that should be 1E, perfect. So if I hit start, that'll change that. I'm gonna save here. Saved like 8 times after getting the shiny. All right, and then I do want to edit the Lugia's name. So if I bring up 1, that'll bring up the RAM writer. And so I've got the address here for the nickname. Let's see. It is D2C0. So if I just use the keys here, D2C0. Okay. So 8C is the number here, and I'm like literally shaking from getting this shiny. 8C is M, so it's mapped to different characters. So this should spell out missing no. As you can see, the 292s there. That represents the S in the character map. So what I'm going to do is, I've never actually updated a nickname before, so I am interested to see how this goes. But I saved, so we are good. This will be 8D. This second character will be 84. Third character will be 8E. And then we need a string terminator, which basically just tells the game that the characters end at a certain point. So I've got 3 characters here, and then I'm going to do 50 here, which is the value for the string terminator. And I believe that should be fine. I'm going to actually, you know what? Let me make these all FF just to be sure. So let's see. A total name length, I believe, is 10 characters. I want to say 11 with the Terminator. Yeah, 11. Okay, perfect. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically up until that second pair, or that first pair of Fs should be good. And if I hit start here, that applies it. And we've got Neo the Lugia. Perfect. Okay, that actually worked out great. I'm going to save now. All I just gotta head over to the Pokemon Center. I've got everything all set up on this save already. So it should be straightforward, just getting straight to the Pokemon Center to trade. I've got the decks and everything. I don't know why this happens. I'm hoping to figure it out, or if somebody could let me know. I have no idea why the back sprite gets corrupted like that. I have not noticed any pattern whatsoever for that behavior, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it. But it doesn't seem to break anything. So... And depending on it's depending on how this goes, I may need to run a few additional scripts. From my testing, it seems like changing the type is really all that's required to send this over to Gen 2. But we will find out. So let's see. Alright, let's see. Have to save the game, yes. Oh, that's right, okay. I gotta get rid of all my Gen 2 Pokemon, so just the Oddish. Okay, Trade Center. And I'll walk over on this save. A little crooked here. Okay. This is the moment of truth. Lugia. It's there. I don't want to view its summary. I want to see it. Okay, I just reviewed its summary and it's there! Oh my god! I didn't want to view its summary. I meant to... I don't know what I was doing. Oh my god, it's there. It works. Okay, please, now just please go through. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know why I'm so surprised. I've tested this so many different times, but this is just unreal. I cannot believe this. Lugia. I don't think the nickname got sent over, which is unfortunate. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. The nickname stayed! Neo the shiny Lugia from Gen 1. Holding a Bitterberry, knowing Scratch and Growl. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Alright. Now I can get rid of this cart here. Unplug this. And then... this is not focusing very well. There we go, that's a little better. Alright, take this out to do a little showcase. Alright, we've got a regular Drowsy. And Neo, the shiny Gen 1 Lugia. This does not feel real. I'm just... wow. So this is kind of the part of the video where it's unscripted, and I'm hoping to just say thank you if you've made it this far. This project has grown way bigger than I could have ever imagined. I know it seems a bit extreme, but just being able to share something I started one night in January out of boredom, and just seeing such great reception and interest from friends, other shiny hunters, and people whose work really inspire me, it's been amazing. And so just thank you if you've made it this far in the video. I really, really appreciate it. I didn't want this to be scripted so I could express, you know, genuinely just how I feel and everything. But I just really appreciate it. So thank you very much. And I've got some more ideas planned. So hopefully I'll be having some time to work on those soon and get some more videos out. If you've made it this far, if you want to give it a like and maybe subscribe, I don't know, you know, do whatever you see fit. But thank you again so much.
It'd be really great if you got the change while you were in San Antonio.
That's I'm hoping.
We said him before we got it. Second, sure.
You didn't have to say that.